Hello everyone, welcome back to our physics class. Now, in today's class we are going to continue with an energy chapter, and in energy chapter today we are going to start with transformation of energy. Transformation of energy means how one form of energy gets converted into another form. So in previous topics, previous classes, we have discussed about different forms of energy. We have discussed about mechanical energy, which consists of potential energy and kinetic energy. Then we have discussed about heat energy, light energy, sound energy, chemical energy, nuclear energy. Now we are going to study how one form of energy gets converted into another form. So transformation of energy. So basically there are different forms of energy. As we know that there are different forms of energy now. And one form of energy can be converted into another form. If you remember, I have discussed in the very first class of energy chapter about the conservation of energy, that is law of conservation of energy. That energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. You cannot create energy and you cannot destroy also energy. But we can convert one form of energy into another form. So that is what we are going to talk about. And we will start with a very simple example of mechanical energy, which consists of potential energy and kinetic energy. And we will take example of a ball. So suppose, let us take a ball. So raise a ball up to a height. Suppose we will raise one ball to a height. So whenever we are raising a ball, we are using mechanical energy. Which energy we are using? Mechanical or muscular energy. So then we are going to raise a ball to a height. Suppose this is a ball which is at position A at height h. Okay. Suppose 2 meter high, 3 meter high, whatever height you want to place. So suppose I have taken one ball and I have placed that ball at position A, and that ball is kept at a height of h meter. Now, when an object is placed at a height, due to its position, which kind of energy it will contain? It will have potential energy. Which kind of energy? It will have potential energy. Will it have any kind of kinetic energy right now? So since the ball is not moving, the ball is kept at a height right now, and we are holding the ball, and the ball is not moving, so it does not carry any kind of kinetic energy. So over here, the ball will have only which energy? Potential energy. Suppose potential energy is 1 and kinetic energy is 0. Why 0? Because the ball is not in motion. Okay. Now as soon as I will release the ball, what will happen? Obviously the ball will going to come down. When the ball is coming down, is the height increasing or height is decreasing? So basically when the ball is coming down, obviously the height of the ball from the ground is decreasing. Since the height is decreasing, which kind of energy will decrease? As we know that potential energy is dependent upon M into G into H. Okay, the height. So more height, more potential energy. Less height, less potential energy. So when the ball is coming down, okay, suppose the ball is coming down, since the height of the ball is decreasing as compared to the ground, potential energy will decrease. Now suppose the ball has reached to this place, point B. Which point it has come? It has come to height h upon 2. H upon 2 means whatever was the total height, now the ball has come in middle. Suppose the ball was placed at 2 meter height. Now after falling down, it has come to height of 1 meter. So height has become half. Whenever the height has become half, that means that is now if the height has decreased, the potential energy will also going to decrease. So what was the height earlier h? Now it has become h upon 2. So the potential energy will also become half. So now the potential energy at this point, it will be half. Now, to repeat, earlier potential energy was 1. 1 means it was 100%. Now since the potential energy has decreased, where the other part of the energy has gone? So if you take a look, the ball was actually in motion, the ball was moving from its position. And whenever an object is in motion, it will have a kind of energy, that is kinetic energy. So over here, from 100%, now the ball is having 50% of potential energy. So there is other part of 50% has gone. say 1 upon 2. Okay, 1 means 100%, half means 50%. So at this place where the ball has reached to height, that is half of the height of the actual height of the ball, now it will have 50% of potential energy, that means 1 upon 2, and 50% of kinetic energy. If you want to check whether it is correct or not, you just add potential energy plus kinetic energy. Half plus half will become 1, that is 100%. So obviously the ball is not losing any kind of energy. It is just converting from one form to another form. So earlier the ball was having only potential energy. Now when it has reached to a height of half, whatever the upper height, and when it has come to half of the height of that, in this case now the ball is having half of the potential energy and half of the kinetic energy. Now obviously the ball will come down now. When the ball will going to strike the ground, now the ball has come to the surface of the, that is on the ground, and when it is striking the ground, now the height has become 0. At this place the height will be 0. Suppose over here the height has become 0. Anything multiplied by 0, the potential energy will obviously become 0. So in this point, at C point, the potential energy will become 0. But the time when the ball was striking the ground, the kinetic energy will become maximum, because at this point the ball will have maximum velocity, maximum speed. Over here the speed was 0. Now since the ball is coming down, the speed is also increasing. So over here it is having half of the speed, and now the ball will have maximum speed. So the kinetic energy will become 1. 1 means 100%. So you can add anywhere, whichever point you want to take, you can take that point and you can add the total energy. 1 plus 0, 1. Half plus half, 1. 0 plus 1, 1. So total energy is always conserved. Okay, it is never been lost by the object, it is always been conserved inside that object. So total energy is always 100%, that is correct. So you can say that potential energy was there when the ball was coming down, the energy was losing. Which kind of energy was lost? Potential energy was lost, and it was converting into kinetic energy. Over here potential energy has become 0 and kinetic energy become maximum. So this is how one form of energy gets converted into another form. So that is what transformation of energy. So in transformation of energy, we will take one more example over here. Okay, we will take the example of hydro dams, hydroelectric power stations where dams are used. So basically dams consist of lot of amount of water which is stored in them. So potential energy of water, which energy of water? Potential energy of water. In hydro dams, it will get converted into electrical energy. Which energy will get converted into electrical energy? So potential energy, that is one form of energy, has been converted into electrical energy, which is another form of energy. So how this happens? So let us take example. Water is stored in reservoir of hydroelectric dams. So hydroelectric dams, the dams are built at a height, and lot of water is stored behind the dams as a reservoir. And since the dams are placed at a height, obviously the water which is kept at a height will store which kind of energy? Potential energy. When water is released, so whenever you release the water, a lot of water will going to flow down. The potential energy changes into kinetic energy of water. So what will happen? Potential energy which was having the stored water, now since the water started flowing, due to motion it will start converting into kinetic energy. This kinetic energy of water turns the blade of turbines. So at the bottom of the dams, big turbines are there in which the water is going to fall, and the turbines will going to get rotated because of the kinetic energy of the flowing water. And when this turbine will rotate, it will help in driving the dynamo. The dynamo will also start rotating, and because of this, the electric generators will going to produce electricity. So this is how potential energy will going to get converted into electrical energy in the case of hydroelectric dams. Okay, so this is the example which you have to study, and you have to take more examples like this, where if one form of energy gets converted into another form of Okay, there is one more example of transformation of energy. That is, chemical energy gets converted into light energy. So this basic example you can see in torch. When a torch is switched on, okay, the chemical energy of the cell. So you must have seen that the torch consists of cells or batteries, and those cells or batteries, they basically consist of chemical energy. Which kind of energy? Chemical energy. So the chemical energy of the cell changes into electrical energy. Which kind of energy will get converted? It will get converted into electrical energy. This electrical energy, on passing through the filament of bulb, so one bulb is there in front of that, where the electricity will go, and this electricity, when it will pass through the filament of the bulb, the same thing takes place in your home also. Those conventional bulbs which you have at home, or CFLs which you have at home, so it consists of filaments, a tungsten. So when electricity passes through that tungsten or that filament, what will happen? It will produce the heat energy. It will first changes into heat energy. Which kind of energy will convert into heat energy? So first thing, when you switch on the torch, the chemical energy of the cell, it will get converted into electrical energy. Then this electrical energy will going to pass through the filament of the bulb. And when it will pass through the filament of the bulb, it will get converted into heat energy. So one form of energy will convert into second form of energy will convert into third form. And when the heat energy will be produced due to heating of the filament, the bulb starts glowing. And when it starts glowing, it will start producing light energy. So this is how a bulb basically converts electrical energy into light energy, or chemical energy into light energy in terms of torch. Chemical energy into light energy. In terms of bulb in your home, in your houses, electrical energy is supplied. No chemical energy will be there. Electrical energy will be supplied, and it will get converted into light energy by passing through different mediums. So this is how one form of energy also gets converted into another form, and one other form of energy gets converted into third form. But you have to remember which kind of energy is finally getting converted into which form of energy. So this is about transformation of energy, that is interconversion of energy from one form to another form. Okay, after talking about sources of energy, now we are going to discuss, after talking about the transformation of energy, we are going to talk about sources of energy. So, various sources of energies are there, naturally also, manually, man-made also. So, let us talk about those sources of energy. Okay, so energy in nature is available from various sources, like sun. Sun is a very good example, which is an ultimate source of energy. Which is an ultimate source of energy. Means with the help of sun, different kinds of energies is possible. Then water is there, fuels are there, wind is there, and earth itself is there. So let us talk about the sun. So basically sun is there, which is helping us to give light energy, heat energy, okay, and because of this light energy, we can see that different forms of things can occur. Like suppose with the help of photosynthesis process, the plants can prepare their food, and for the preparation of food, they require this light energy. Now we are dependent upon rain. How rain is possible? So first, the heat energy of the sun, it will going to evaporate water. So when the water gets evaporated, it will rise up. They will form clouds, and they will again fall as a rain. So this process is possible because of the heat energy of the sun. Similarly, this heat energy of the sun is making the wind to flow from one place to another place. Because at one place, when it becomes very hot, temperature of the sun, and another place when it is cold, so the density of air differs. And when the density of air differs, we know that the air from one place will start moving towards another place. Because one place will have high density and another place will have low density. Like suppose one area is there which is at a higher temperature. Okay, another area is there which is at a colder temperature. So at hot temperature, the air have low density, and when they will have less density, they will going to rise. They will going to move up. And when they will going to rise up, the place around that will become empty or vacuum will be created, and the place where the temperature was low, that heavy dense or heavier air, or that is a denser air, will going to flow from that place towards another place. That is how wind will flow from one place to another place. So this wind is also example. And what is this wind energy helps us? This wind energy helps us in many cases, like suppose windmills are there which are used to produce electricity, and their wind energy is used. Then fuels are there, different types of fuels are there, petrol, diesel, wood is also a kind of fuel, because in villages still the wood is used as a primary source, that when they burn the wood, the heat energy will be produced, and with the help of heat energy of the wood, burning wood, they can use it for cooking food. Then different types of fuels are there, like suppose petroleum products are there, diesel is there, coal is there, which all can be burned to produce energy, which is there, in which the vehicles are dependent, on which the different factories are dependent, which uses this kind of energy for producing heat energy. Okay, now when we talk about the sources of energy, okay, basically there are two types of sources which we have to learn. What are the two different types of sources of energy? Two important sources of energy are renewable sources of energy and non-renewable sources of energy. So basically two types of sources are there, the renewable sources of energy and non-renewable sources of energy. What are renewable sources of energy? The sources of energy which never run out as they are used. So whenever you use them, they will never get empty or they will never get run out, but are continuously replaced naturally. When you are using this form of energy, then again the same kind of energy will come, and then when you use that also, another same kind of energy will come. So this energy will never get exhausted. It will always be present there, like suppose sun. Daily the sun will going to rise, daily the heat energy of the sun, the light energy of the sun will going to reach the earth. So daily we can use that form of energy, and it is never getting running out. Then water. Suppose you say, sir, we have taken the water, we have used the water, now how? So what will happen? The water which has been used, it will go inside the ground again, and later on it will going to evaporate, and when it will going to evaporate, it will rise up, form clouds, and again the rain will occur, and the same water will come down. So water bodies, then again the same water will flow into the rivers, lakes, and then again it will going to evaporate, and this process will continuously take place. So water is also a form of energy, which is, you can say that it is a renewable source of energy. And wind, you know that wind will keep on blowing, and we can use that form of energy according to our use. So these were renewable sources of energy. Then second is a non-renewable sources of energy. So the source of energy which cannot be replaced once they are used. Suppose petrol is there. Okay, you use 1 liter of petrol. So will you able to get back that 1 liter of petrol again? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, but it will take millions and billions of years to get back, because the process of formation of petrol or diesel or coal, you can say it is a fossil fuel, and which will take millions and millions of years to get produced inside the earth. So since these products cannot be renewed again, you cannot bring them back again, so that is why they are known as non-renewable sources of energy. So these are two types of energies, and this is the sources of energies which you have to remember. So different other sources of energies are there, so you can find them out and then you can learn them. Now we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is energy problems. Energy problems means what kind of problems we are facing when we are using one form of energy or another form of energy. So basically it is a social significance, and what happens, basically we are dependent upon non-renewable sources of energy more. So the sources of energy which will get exhausted after some period of time, which will going to run out, and we will never get it back again. We are more dependent upon that. How? We are dependent upon diesel, petrol, coal, kerosene, natural gases. So renewable sources of energy. So what we have to do, we have limited amount of natural fuels on Earth. Okay, other than sun, wind energy, water energy. Basically, what happens? We have enough amount of light energy, that is sun. So enough amount of light and heat energy we get from sun. But the problem is there, we are not so much capable of using this form of energy. Because if you want electricity, you can basically get electricity from sun energy also. How? We can use solar panels. But in our country right now, we are not using solar panels in much quantity because of its prices. Since the prices are a little bit high, so people are not able to make use of them properly. In future, people will use them. But over here, when you use solar panels will going to absorb the heat energy from the sun and will get converted into electric energy. So the problem will be solved in the case of electricity, that we can get this sun energy at free of cost and we can use them. Similarly, wind energy. Now, the problem with the windmills is that the wind should be blowing with huge energy. But basically what happens throughout the year, it is not possible that wind will going to blow with equal amount of energy. Sometimes the energy or the speed with which the wind was blowing is very low, sometimes it becomes very high. So when it is high, then it can be used easily. So generally we people are more dependent upon non-renewable sources of energy. So we do not have enough energy. And when we talk about this energy, we are talking about non-renewable source of energy. In a country to meet our needs, India is an agriculture country. Okay, we are basically dependent upon agriculture in more number. So we need electricity to run modern ways of agriculture and equipments. So basically we run vehicles, cars, buses, trucks, trains, they all consume fossil fuels. Our agricultural equipments like tractors, threshers and all those things, they also require electricity and other forms of energy. So a lot of consumption of energy is taking place. We people are using this fossil fuel or non-renewable source of energy at a very great rate, means at a very high speed we are using them. But and slowly what is happening? The quantity of this fossil fuel is decreasing day by day. Now scientists are working how they can make use of another forms of energy like nuclear energy, like sun energy, which is not in use in huge quantity right now. But in today's world, what is the problem? That these forms of energy is getting exhausted very fast. So therefore, we should use this available source of energy carefully. So it is our duty to use these sources of energy carefully. We should save energy by limiting our consumption. How by limiting our consumption? Like electricity, whenever the electricity is required, at that time you use that electricity like bulb. When you require light energy, then you switch on the bulb. When you do not require, nobody is there in the room, you switch it off. Similarly, the fans which are running, geyser which is there working at home, air conditioner which is working at home, they all consume huge amount of energy. So whenever it is required, at that time you use it, otherwise you have to switch them off, otherwise the energy will go to deplete in this company. Similarly, instead of wasting our fuel, always using our motorbikes or cars to travel a short distance, we can use bicycles or we can use public transports also, which will be very useful for saving the fuels, that is fossil fuels. So that is how you can lower your consumption from your side and you can save these fuels, which are actually non-renewable sources of energy, for the future generations also. So this is about the chapter energy, where we have discussed about definition of energy, different forms of energy, conservation of energy, law of conservation of energy, then the energy, the problems which is related to different forms of energy and how we can resolve them. Okay, so this is what you have to discuss with yourself. You have to hold down the points and you have to study them